We are we are live. We're ready.
We're live.
All right. So listen, yeah, good to see everybody. And
See you.
Jeff was up in town past several days and had a gathering at Pond for World in Conversation. And,
Yep.
we're
Jeff actually stayed at my crib.
we're Elijah, where you are right now, and so all is
Yep.
well. Anyway, Jeff had to
Mhm.
leave. He left it this afternoon. Had to drive 2.5 hours, and just got home. So we're running a couple minutes late. Anyway, Hey,
Rushed over.
yeah. All right, that's all right.
I bet.
You know, did you watch class yesterday, by the way?
No, I did not see class yesterday.
It was really it was interesting for me. You know, it's definitely one of those classes that it's like it's that I need to do it once and then come back
Mhm.
and do it another time, or you
Mhm.
know, it's like there's so many classes where I absolutely have no idea where we're going to go, where the class
Right.
is going to go, like what students are going to say, and man,
Mhm.
and then
Where are you
it's
gonna take
happening
it?
so fast, you know?
Yeah. Kinda like we were talking about last week a little bit
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Pedro.
yeah, yeah, it's happening so fast that I gotta think, and yeah, someone after after class said, like, "Hey, what did you want us to get from that?" And I said, "Dude, I don't know. I had no idea. Whatever you got from it is what I
What did
wanted
you
you
get?
to get." Yeah,
Did
what
you
I
ask
got
him that, what he got?
yeah, what I got, and what did he say? I said, "What did you get?" And he said, I got that there's a lot of diversity among white people that like we don't really know what we mean when we say white people. People
Mhm.
don't know, you know what I mean? Like they're just it's like
Right.
it means so many different things to so many people.
Mhm.
And so
So,
anyway, that was cool. Yeah.
so was it like the flip side of kind of the one class that you did? Um,
Flip side
on
of the more on the class I did with people of Black ancestry or African ancestry. So this is
Right, that's what I was referencing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it kind of was like that. And you know what was really cool was that there was a guy, an international student from Georgia. Okay, so there were 6 people. So the guy sitting on the table next to me, who was asking the questions, like his job was to ask questions, which is not an easy thing to do. He's
Right.
Haitian
Mhm.
American, lives in Long Island,
Mhm.
um, which I didn't know until he sat down.
Okay.
And then so there was a guy from Georgia, international student, Tbilisi,
Mhm.
like the country of Georgia, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Next to him was a woman from Canada, from St. John's up in New Brunswick, Canada, way up
Okay.
in the maritime provinces, up above
Wow.
Maine,
What
right?
is that? Maritime provinces?
Yeah, the maritime provinces are like Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Cape Edward Island. Yeah, so
Oh.
way up in the edge of Canada, right? And so she's Canadian by birth and I mean by nationality, right? So she goes up there all the time. And then there was a woman who's half 3/4 Czech, speaks Czech, goes to Czech Republic all the time. A woman who is a guy from the UK, a guy from
Mhm.
Australia, and a woman from Poland who like
Mhm.
spends all their summers in Poland. She's
Right.
American, but she's Polish American. So
Uh-huh.
anyway, all of these cool perspectives of talking about white people, you know?
Yeah. And
It
wait, and so how did you frame it originally? Because it's so interesting that the one guy was like, "What was I supposed to get out of this?" Because it kinda to me seems,
well, like,
straightforward, and
yeah, no, like I asked them, like, "What's it mean to be white?" And they're like, "I don't know." It's just like, you know, like, because no one's ever asked people. We never asked that question to such a wide range of people. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
what's it mean to be white? I didn't even add white Latinos up there, right? White Hispanics, and so like, and no American white people. It was just people outside the U.S. So, yeah, it
That's
was cool, man. And then talk about how do you talk about white Americans in your back home, like in this other culture that you part of? How do they talk about white Americans? And how they talk about Americans? And when people talk about Americans, are they thinking white people, or are they thinking, including, Regu is his name, and they're thinking of him, like a Haitian guy. So it's
like when they picture Americans, do they picture just white Americans, or do they also picture everything else that is included in America?
The U.S. is a multicultural nation. Yeah, it's so fascinating. And how do you refer to Americans? You know what I mean? That was wild. There was a lot of negativity that could be directed toward Americans, man.
Is that what you uncovered when they?
Yeah, they all said, like, they, often refer to people in these really, like, kind of, Dutch or negative ways, man. Yeah,
Really? In what ways?
Yeah.
Sorry, someone's crawling on my floor.
Who's on the floor, man? Oh, I see. Anyway,
fun.
so it was just a really, really fun, like, interesting class. And here's the cool thing: the main volunteer, right? Hang on, man, I forget everybody's names. I'm like, it's just terrible. I'm like the worst when it comes to these things. Anyway, the guy from Haiti. Okay, I really should. Hang on, man. I really should be able to use names, but I'll tell you, bro. Sometimes. All right. So here's the next story. So Rogi, he's the Haitian guy. Rogi or Rogi? I don't remember, man. 4 times yesterday.
Yeah.
Remember, man. God.
No, you have how many volunteers?
It's a combination of his parents' names. So it's either Rogi or Rogi. But anyway,
That's
G,
cool.
Rogi. Robert Harris says Rogi. Okay. So listen, man. So he says, I think I asked him, like, what do these people have in common? Because he didn't know I was picking white people, right? Or people of European ancestry. And he says, well, they're all white, except this guy here on the end. Okay. Now, the guy he pointed out at the end is the international student from Georgia. And Georgia is where the Caucasus Mountains are. And in Georgia is where Blumenbach is the guy that, I think his name is Blumenbach, is the guy that came up with the name Caucasians. And he picked it because he thought the white people, the people of Europe, who were the most beautiful, just the best physical specimens and of any white people around Europe, were these people in the Caucasus Mountains. So he called them, the general term for all of Western Europe was Caucasian, right?
Wow.
Georgia. So Rogi says, like, oh yeah, you're all white except that guy. And then later I'm like, bro, he's the whitest of white, man. He's the representative of whiteness.
What do you think it was about him where he was
he just looks, I'd have to show his face. You'd have to go look at it. Slightly darker, but could have just been because he was in under sun lamps, darker hair. And he had a lot of people, these young women with very light, like blonde hair. He was a little darker.
Okay.
But there was another guy, the other guy from Australia. He's a quarter or half Filipino, right? Quarter actually, but also some other. So like you really see it in him, but he didn't see it. Rogi didn't see it. So it's not wild. It was such a cool conversation. I had so much fun.
Yeah. Were they asking each other questions like did you get them to?
Not so much. No, this group not so much.
So it was mostly you said Gorgie or
Rogi.
Rogi.
Yeah, but
Rogi was asking these questions.
I think he didn't have. It's hard to have questions, like he's this young 20-year-old who's like, what do I ask?
He's trying his best.
Yeah, but it was cool. That's what it is. And season
did the stream have questions during that class?
Yeah, we had some questions. It was good. Steven asked a really cool question. So there were some good questions. So anyway, the point being, and then we really looked at white faces. Like I had the camera do a close-up so people could really see the distinct distinctions in people's faces. Yeah,
Right.
it's
And
cool.
what would you
Like
say? I know
I was
this.
telling the story, like when I go to Europe, I know where I am when I get off the airplane. Like I'm
Right.
just like, oh man, I'm in Poland, or I'm in Germany, or I'm in Spain or Italy, Greece, right? Um,
Hmm.
Ireland. I always know the moment I'm in Ireland, man. Immediately, I'm
Right.
just like, oh, yeah, I'm Ireland. In the
Right.
Netherlands, I can pick out Northern Europe, right in that area. I can pick people
Hmm.
up. France,
And
the middle of France, man. French have you just know, like it's subtle, but
no, of course. So would you say that after this class, you feel like students walked away with a little bit with a broader perspective when they think about whiteness?
yeah, they'll never think about whiteness again. People will talk about white people. They will never be in a conversation about white people where they will not be thinking about those 6 individuals sitting in those chairs.
Wow, that's
Wait,
beautiful.
hang on. Yeah, isn't that cool? That's like
Hmm.
that's what it's yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I really
because the connotation, like you said, the connotation of whiteness is so negative. Or
yeah.
they received, you heard a lot of negative
No, I
things. Is
think
that what you said?
oh, well, you mean like the Europeans or like
Right.
the other way? Yeah, no, there is some. At some point, I think that each one of them kind of had fun coming up with. They say like Americans are friendly, Americans are different, but they're lazy. They're they're like uh, greedy. They're I don't know, loud. They're obnoxious. There were a lot of
Right.
negative adjectives were used, and
Hmm.
but that's in
Oh.
part because the U.S. is the U.S., man, and we're like
Hmm.
they're the land. We flex our muscles around the world culturally and economically and
Right.
politically, and even when we
Hmm.
don't mean to, like we sort of push the culture goes out because we're so big,
Right.
and people feel a
Yeah.
certain kind of resentment about that.
Right. Hmm. Yeah. And it's interesting to think about, like, do you think if I'm asking a lot of do you think questions, but
No, go ahead, man.
if before you had this class, would you say that many students in the audience would have just grouped them all together as like, oh,
Yeah,
these are just like
you know
white
what?
Americans?
Yeah, that's good. I think I think it's just they would just naturally group them together. Yeah, just like
Mhm.
white people there. Like, okay, you got a white guy from Italy, white woman from Czech Republic, white woman's like Poland. Like, yeah, but you're basically all just white people. Like, yeah,
Right. When there's like so many
Matt.
cultural, go ahead.
No. So Matt just said in the chat he was sure that the Georgian guy was Italian. I know. Yeah, same here, man. I saw
Oh, you thought that
like
too.
kind of looked like Italian, but not in his no his eyes and his nose, like right in here, were not Italian.
Uh-huh.
It
Uh-huh.
didn't look like it to me anyway. But
Wow.
um,
Wow. And there were distinct features with
yeah,
where
not they
you're like,
weren't as distinct as some. Yeah, they were pretty distinct actually, given each
uh-huh.
person. Yeah, given what
Wow.
their background was. The woman from
Yeah.
Czech Republic, Slavs had these like bigger, larger cheeks, and she had these really just cheeks like, that were
Yeah.
from Canada, who's definitely English and French. Definitely French. I mean, like she's got like English, French, but very thin cheeks, like a much thinner face, right? I'm like,
Right.
yeah, look at that.
And that's just part of that region. Like if you
Yeah,
went to that region, you would see that
because
consistently.
it was founded by the French. The French really took over like um, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and so on. The French
Mhm.
really founded that. Yeah.
But and you know how
That's
you
where
did
my
that
relatives are
class?
from, by the way. My
That's where
French
what?
relatives are from up in that area.
Who?
So so I have so I'm a quarter, like, maybe not a quarter, like 20% French Canadian.
You do.
Yeah. It's from
Okay.
up in that area, my mom's side. Yeah.
Oh, and your grandfather is
That's where I get my
closer
pointed
to that.
nose, dude, right here. Probably from the you
Interesting.
can see it.
Interesting. You know how you had that class on features
Yeah.
where like there are different reasons
Yeah.
for like depending on where you are, like,
Yeah.
and it's to protect yourself from the environment.
Yeah, or
Would you
the environment selects for it. Yeah.
or the environment selects for it? I wonder, Does it apply to every single feature, or do you think some of it's just
No.
distinct to just
Mm-mm.
because it's, I don't know, like familiarity of group, or I don't know,
No, no,
or
some of
I have no idea.
it's just a genetic mutation that was really strong and took hold. Okay,
Got
sometimes.
it.
Like,
Got it.
or and sometimes it's, sexual preference. Like people for some reason or another, they prefer something, and over many, many
Mhm.
generations, if you just put that preference goes out there, that thing can just grow. And it's not like don't think about sexual preferences in the way that we do. Like, no, there's no average, go back like 8,000 years, right? And you're in the the steppes of Asia, okay? And people are
Right.
reproducing. They're not looking at like, look at talking to each other. Oh, look at that guy. Like he looks pointing at you, he's
Yeah,
really
like his
great. I want to
gelled
mate
hair.
with him. It's not that. It's just it's so complicated and subtle, right? But sometimes it's that. So here's a good
Mhm.
one. The epicanthic eye fold, right?
When
Like
you say, I think I remember you saying that before, but I don't remember.
so the double eyelid, right? So you have
Right.
like I have my eyelid, and then there's this other eyelid that comes down right here. Hang on.
Mhm,
It'd be like
mhm.
right here, and another eyelid sort of pulls my eyelid down. Okay, there's not like a
Right.
fold. There's not a fold here. Okay, which is what
Oh,
that
so
means.
you have an
Like
epicanthic eye fold?
there's no. Yeah.
You
There's like a
do or
double
don't?
fold. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Epicanth. Yeah. You do too, right?
We all do.
Yeah. 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 Well, not we
Okay,
all
okay.
do.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm just trying to figure this
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So wait, what are you saying about the
Okay, so
epicanthic eye
listen.
fold?
So no, look, the fold is here. It's like there's the double lid. The fold, no, we don't, you and I don't have the fold. The fold
Okay,
is right. What the fold does, this is what's called the Asian eye. Okay.
okay.
And the Asian eye, it's Asian eyes are very different, but for many people of East Asian ancestry, they're just in the corners, a little fold. You can't, you'll see it. You can look it up online.
Mhm.
And you'll see it. It
Let me look
pulls
it
the
up.
eye down. So we don't know. The bottom line is we don't know why that's the case. So why we have there's less of the eyeball visibly showing in the eyes of people who have the epicanthic eye fold and don't have the double eyelid, right? And so we don't
Right.
know why. We people had the hypothesis like, well, people who grew up in area and climates that are really windy and sandy and so on,
Right.
you're gonna
Mhm.
want that because you want the eye to be more slits. But that's not true. Doesn't seem at all to be true. And
Oh,
so there
wait, so
are,
that's actually a kind of
it
a
might just
myth?
be chance. Might be sexual selection at some point in time. I don't know.
Oh, so
So
it might not be because of the wind or, like, the
no, not
environment,
at
like you
all.
said, or
No, they think
sandy.
it's not
Oh,
actually. The newest idea is that it's not that. Yeah. And
interesting,
so
because I
you
remember that.
like Ian says that like so East Asians, it's so in Asia you come over the Bering Straits and down into the Americas. That's why you can look at somebody of a Navajo on the Navajo reservation and somebody in Eastern China, and they can look very, very similar. In
Right.
fact, when I lived in Ecuador, and I was up in the doing my research in the mountains, and I would travel around these really small communities with priests, and some people never left the community for generations and generations. So these
Wow.
were indigenous people uh, and the Quechua people,
Mhm.
and they. I swear, sometimes we'd be sitting in a circle and like having the priest would be saying mass or something, right? Maybe just having a conversation at night. There'd be a candle
Mhm.
in the middle of the room because this is out in the
Mhm.
mountains. There's no electricity. There's nothing, man. There'd be a
Right.
candle, and so just the light would flicker off the faces of people around the circle.
Mhm.
Dude, I felt so many times like I was in China.
Oh, yeah, I remember you
I'm
saying
in
this.
China, man, because people's faces are exactly like people in China. So I'm responding to Ian's comment there.
Right.
Anyway, so there are other things that we know, like the shape of the nose, shape of the lips, right? How much lips is showing. That seems
Mhm.
to be connected to certain selected for. You know what I mean?
Okay. Like you were saying, sexual selection.
Yeah. Well, no, it's selected for by nature, like
by nature,
you want certain features.
or
Like in
sexual
really
preference?
hot, dry climates, you want people who are tall and thin because the body can get rid of the heat that way. But short and squat, a body that's short and squat is going to retain heat. So when you look at the Maasai people, you go to up the desert and northeast Africa, for example. Everyone's really
Hmm.
tall. The Somali people, the Ethiopian people, the Maasai people, so on. But up you go north, and the Inuit people, the Eskimo people, very short, very squat, man. Body
Right,
retains heat. You got to have that. So,
man, fascinating.
dude, it is, isn't it? It's so
It
cool.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it breaks
yeah,
down
yeah.
so many. It can break down a lot of. What is it? Um, I don't know. I was gonna say like what it could break down something with.
Well, it's not stereotypes, really. You're
Not
breaking down.
stereotypes, but like I was trying to figure out what. That's why I didn't want to say
Yeah,
that. That's why I was trying to
it's
figure out what it breaks down, or what
maybe
it
it just
how it informs you.
maybe it just gives us a certain language to look at other people and look at features. And
Right. Hmm.
don't organize them hierarchically, man. Like don't
Yes,
do that.
exactly. That's what it
A,
does.
a wide nose and a thin pointed nose, a wide flat nose and a thin pointed nose are the same nose. It doesn't matter, man. And
Right.
one nose help people to really thrive and prosper in regions of the world, and then this other nose help people to thrive and prosper hundreds and hundreds of
Cut.
generations.
Right.
Nature itself just say, you know what, we prefer this nose here, and it just kept getting reproduced. And so
Right. Hmm.
that's genes,
Yeah.
man. It's the power.
You cut out for just a second, but yeah, I heard the ending. I just wanted to let you know, but I don't think it impacted
How much did I cut
those
out?
understanding you. Maybe like 2 seconds,
Oh, all right, all right, all right. Okay.
maybe. Yeah.
Or if there's a
But
God, then God created. So for people who believe it's the creationist story, then what that would mean is that God decided to create human beings differently. Okay. Which is fine. You can make that argument that just created different groups of people or created people and pushed them or allowed them or motivated them or whatever, created a world in which they would continue to reproduce differently in the world where they migrate, where he created them, or they migrated, or she created them, or whatever. I don't know.
mhm,
But
mhm,
the idea being that whatever it is, we see these differences and they seem to match certain areas of the world.
right.
See, we see some noses in some places and other noses in other places consistently, for example. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like that'd be interesting to it'd be that's such great information, I think, for like a young kid to know, or like elementary
oh, yeah.
school or middle school, because of how often young
Yeah.
kids are like bullying others
Oh
for
my
like
God.
differences.
Yep.
I feel like that's
So, like the Polish woman yesterday, her name's Olivia. Um, I knew immediately as soon as she walked up to the front. I'm like, you're Olivia, but you're because I didn't know what she looked like. It was just I just knew that there was a woman who's Polish who's volunteering, and I'm like, you're Olivia, right? Because the Polish nose, there's several different Polish noses that are common, right? But one
Mhm.
is that it's a little ball at the end, like a tiny, like look at Lori's nose. Is
Uh-huh.
Lori still up there? You could go out in the hallway, find
I can
her,
check real quick.
look at her nose, and it's just a little ball at the end. All right.
All right, wait. Yeah, let
Yeah,
me
just go
I
look
don't
at
know
it
if she's
and
still
tell
here.
her
Let's
like,
see.
just tell her like, hey, Sam said I got to come look at your
Let me look at your
nose.
nose real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and so and the Irish have this also, right? So Lori's my wife. She's both Irish and Polish. And and it's cool, man. It's cool. It's so unique. And I get off an airplane in Ireland or I get off in Poland and I just see not every nose has this in Poland and or in Ireland, um but but it's consistently many do, right? And so it's pretty there are these different populations of features. Is she still here?
Yeah, she was. I saw it.
You saw
Like,
it? You see it,
yeah, like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
just like a little parched. So she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just need to look at your nose real quick."
Yeah.
Sam told me.
Dude, and of course,
Yeah, that's interesting.
it's like there's you don't hierarchically. The one isn't better than another. Like, oh my God, it's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it,
That needs to be a part of the curriculum, like in K
dude.
through 12. That would
Can you
be
imagine? You know what? It wouldn't matter, man. Kids are just gonna part of growing into an adult
right.
is to be self-conscious about something, man.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
just was never self-conscious about anything ever. There wasn't a single thing in my childhood that I was ever self-conscious about. I was
Oh,
just
really?
yeah, I was perfect exactly how I was. I never thought about it, you know? I didn't
I
look
think I
in a
was
mirror
just
a
shy.
lot. What's
Yeah,
that?
I don't think I wasn't self-conscious about everything, but I had this one kid who used to make fun of me because my eyebrows were different color than my hair. But that didn't affect me. I was like, "That's so lame, dude."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
"Do
because
better."
isn't that cool? My eyebrows are a different color than my hair. That's
Right,
amazing.
right. Yeah, and then I got defended. They
Hey,
were like,
Mark Line, 1960s. Oh my God, I was self-conscious about everything. Yeah, yeah. It's just in their their DNA, or it's in their astrological chart, that you're gonna be self-conscious, and some people not. And I just
"Yeah,
happen to not
yeah,
be. Good that you weren't. I would imagine you weren't very self-conscious because you wouldn't be able to because of who you are today.
right."
You 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 wouldn't have grown into who you are if you had had a really different, you
That's
know
true. That's so interesting. Yeah, it's like, I wonder what's the difference between self-conscious and
yeah.
because there's like a shyness sometimes. You know how you said
Yeah,
sometimes, like when
yeah.
you're like, there's a difference between when you're in a circle versus when you're in front of a class.
Yep, yep, yep,
You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes there's that.
Wait,
Well,
you can
like
hear
not
me, right?
exactly.
Wait, you
Yeah, I
can
can
hear
hear
me,
you.
right?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, okay, all right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, it's very cool.
It's
All right, listen,
fascinating.
with that, I think we have some questions probably to address from class
Yeah, let's
yesterday.
check these questions out.
We'll see if this Jeff, let's see.
Oh man. See, this is what I'm talking about. We need segments, there needs to be like
Yeah.
something where it's like time for questions. There's like a little drum roll and there's like a banner that goes across, it's like question time.
So unfortunately, my computer isn't going to allow me to. Sam, I see you just went onto the document, but Elijah, I sent it to you as well. And then at the very bottom, there's office hours 5, and then there's also class 7 questions we can go through.
What in Slack?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Normally, I put these questions and I put them on a PowerPoint. This time I didn't have time, so we just have the questions written out.
Yo, you need to work on getting a sponsor for like a World in Conversation / Social 19 Slack sponsor.
Yo, Slack, give us premium or pro or whatever you call it.
Oh, is that what you?
Yeah,
All right, hang on. I'm
that would
bringing.
be nice.
Wait, what happened? Ah, here they are. Okay, here we go. All right, man. That was our break right there. Uh, all right, man. So let's see. Okay, Stephen asks, knowing that we all thousands of years ago, humans came from Africa and were originally black. Why do they think they have white skin and not black skin? Yeah, that would be, that would have been a question to ask them. Like, how do you think you got white skin? Some of them, somebody would have
Mhm,
had some idea about.
mhm. It's the equator answer, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Like
and
how
again, it's just kind of a chance thing, right? That we as we this enzyme melanin to kind of help protect ourselves from the ultraviolet rays of the sun, protect humans from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. It had the reaction, the chemical reaction of turning. The more you have it, the more the skin darkens. It's more
mm,
dark pigmented it is, or the less. Pardon me. Yeah, the more melanin. Yeah, you have, the more darkly pigmenting the skin is, and so if you stay in really like sunny, hot areas, very sunny areas, your
mhm,
skin's going to stay brown. But the problem is, and then you get plenty of vitamin D and calcium, you can synthesize plenty of vitamin D and calcium from the sun, because the sun is doing that. But now melanin blocks it. Okay, it blocks that process, doing it. So now as you go north and you got like less ultraviolet rays of the sun, so the skin doesn't need that melanin, so it starts to lighten a little bit because it's producing less of it. But now you like got to get out. You got to get out in the sun, right? Like you got, the body's gonna the melanin, because there's less of it. The body's is able to produce more calcium and vitamin D and be strong. So it's like you have to have less melanin. You cannot have really dark skin as the populations evolve north and south. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. It's depending on how much melanin like your body will process or not process in certain ways, essentially.
Yeah. So it's really and like Eskimos, will tend to, like the Eskimo people, they'll tend to have darker skin, right? And he's like, well, but wait, what about them? Why do they have dark skin? Well, they eat lots of seafood, and the seafood gives them the calcium and the vitamin D and all of the folate acid and all the things that they gotta have. So it's like, okay, yeah, so they can keep the dark skin. You know what I mean?
Right. Interesting. That's crazy.
So here, GDC money, man. I'm at a point where no one can guess my ethnicity, but can easily tell I'm American because I wear a hat. Is that accurate? Oh my gosh, I would have asked that. I'm assuming GDC, you mean a baseball cap. And if that's the case, yeah, definitely, man. It's not true across the board, but it's definitely much more true.
Right. It's like if a stereotype thing, like if you're wearing a baseball cap, you're most likely an American.
Yeah.
Or like a signifier of being American.
Yeah. So GDC also has people who have asked me if I'm a British Islander, despite being as brown as caramel. Yeah, because British Islands are not. It's not British. It's not white British Islands at this point. It's a very complex mix of mestizo people, African people of African ancestry, and white people. Like going to Bermuda. Lori and I were in Bermuda a year and a half ago, and it's like, the whole black population of Bermuda is very thriving. The Indian population, many Indians came there, the African population, and then the white population, all very mixed up, by the way. Anyway, Joe Stevens, this is a question we asked in class. Isn't race a social construct? So where does black and white begin, or Asian, or whatever? Why not stop talking about race? Bro, what do you think I would say about that? Why don't we just stop talking about race, since it's a social construct, and like,
Okay. So you would answer,
what do you think
would your answer be like, well, one, it's so embedded into our society already. And well, are you saying, and also like as humans, we already organize. And so as humans, we need to organize. I forget what your answer.
No, what would your answer be? Would your answer be one of those? Or both of them? Or variation on it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I think it would be somewhere along those lines.
Well, I would say that mostly I would say that's true. Yeah. I mean, look, we come from different regions of the world. Human beings, our ancestors matter. Okay, they matter to us. People want to know. That's why people do genealogies and stuff. For some people, it doesn't matter, but for most of us, it does. We want to hear stories about our parents, our grandparents. If we know about our great grandparents, people like to hear those stories, man. Aunts and uncles and relatives, and it just matters. So people hang on to that. It helps to. It's like sports teams, man. You know what I mean? Like you like the Eagles, or you like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
and it's like, and I mean, we would be organizing based off of something else, so there'd be some different type of discrimination if it wasn't for race.
Now, don't forget about. Don't even think discrimination. Just think of like identifiers. Like we we use things to identify us. Like I'm part Irish, or whatever it is. Yeah. We need that, man. We need that community. That's why sports are so big, right? Like you don't have anything like you take a city like New York or Philly or whatever. There's nothing that binds people together inside those city limits. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like people automatically, like I walk out the door and I'm connected to my neighbor next to me and on the other side and across the street and behind me and down the street. There's random people throughout the neighborhood. But I'm not, you go much further, man. I'm not connected to people. I have nothing that really, I write State College or I write Penn State as my place of employment, but it doesn't really mean anything. But we have these things like football teams and sports teams, or like in New York or Washington or wherever. And like, man, I can wear the colors of the sports team and I see somebody else wearing the colors of the sports team and I'm taking a bus and I'm like, hey, we're in the same tribe.
Right.
That's okay. That's good. That's a good thing.
Right. Just simply the connection, essentially, and the belonging that it creates.
And the fact that sports are so damn ever present and powerful, and they're worth it's so much money invested and time. That's just an indication of how much we need them. Yeah, we need the Miami area needs a baseball team and a football team and a basketball team and a hockey team.
That's
and
interesting.
Unite all those people, man.
Right. And if it didn't, that'd be so interesting to see, like what would happen if that didn't exist, or if sports didn't exist in that way. Then
we have it though. We have a lot of cities all around that don't have those sports teams.
Well, but there's cities that have at least some type of sport.
Yeah.
But what if there just wasn't anything?
Minor league. Yeah.
Like what if there was nothing?
Yeah, what does it do? Yeah, I think maybe it's not almost like maybe there's not like a direct connection sociologically, like the system would be different in this way or in this way.
But would we relate in different ways? Like we'd relate.
I think it's subtle. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even notice it necessarily, right?
Interesting.
Because the fact that so many people are fans of the New England Patriots, whatever that means. Right, or Seattle Seahawks. It doesn't it's not like it changes Seattle.
So you don't think it's like we would discriminate or
no.
belong in a different way?
No, yeah, and you mean discriminate in the way of like making distinctions, not treating people unfairly. Yeah, no,
I guess
I don't. I think that. I don't think it would necessarily be noticeable, but the point that they're so strong is an indication that we humans need these identifiers around us, man. We need these teams of belonging.
Right.
Like our religions, and that starts to break down. Everything breaks down, and so you got to have it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess back in the day, what's the most ancient sport? Because it makes me think about the biggest thing that we identified to, like way back, was religion, right? Like,
yeah, probably
that we identified with, or it's like this is our belonging outside of like our family.
Probably religion. Right, the ancient sports probably. It probably is wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
But
combat sports. That's true.
People are you're linking more to your community. It's very, I could riff on it for a while, but I'm not.
It's interesting.
But it's pretty cool. So anyway, I don't know. We got that. All right, where we go? All right, that's why we talk about race. Okay, we did that one in class. Does the English fellow, the English guy, this is from Opinionated Matt, the English fellow. Hey, fellow. Did he know how far removed from the throne he is? That's really interesting. Like, how many English people make that calculation? How close to the throne? How many people got to die before you end up on the throne?
Wait, what connection are you making to this?
No,
I'm losing you.
If the English guy in class, he was from England.
Oh,
how far removed from the throne? In the line of succession he is.
Okay. Right? Also, you're a little low. Like, I can hear you.
All right, hang on, man. There, how about that?
Oh my gosh, it's so much better.
Oh man. All right.
That's great.
All right, wait, hang on one second though. I gotta go get a towel. I spilled my drink here.
Oh, okay.
Hang on one second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what kind of is it what's kind of towel? Red towel. I was just curious of the color of the towel.
Man, I turned that down a little bit ago because I thought it was too loud, and it turns out it was. Anyway, so listen.
Yeah.
Someone asked, "Aren't we conflating culture and maybe religion with skin color and race?" Yeah, probably. At some point yesterday, we were definitely conflating that. Yeah.
Oh, you're speaking from the side of the mic, so it's kind of.
Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry.
There you go.
So at some point we were conflating that. All right. How do laws and policies reflect unequal control over different bodies? Oh man, that's a really good question. You know, like this idea that it's only been relatively recently that black women in particular have been allowed to wear natural hair in the military. Just in the past 10 years, 5 years actually, I think, but we'll say 10 years.
Right.
You can't wear your natural hair. Like, imagine that, right? Imagine you're in the military and you got to like make tight curls. You either got to shave your head off, like I do. I either have to shave my head off or I have to curl it. I have to make sure I have really tight curls because that's the norm in this world in which I'm living, right? And they said, yeah, you want to be in the military. You either shave your head. If you're a guy, that's fine. You just shave your head. If you're a black man with 4C hair, so it's really tightly kinked or curled, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll shave my head. I'll look like just like the white guy or the Asian guy or whatever. We all have bald heads. We go through basic training. Or and then later when it grows out, I can after basic training, then I have to get tight curls in my hair every time I go to work. You know what I mean? Like, unless I shave it again. Like, that's what it was for black women. Like, you got to straighten your hair. You want to be in the military, you got to straighten your hair. You got to cut it down. It's like, wait, what? What? I got what do I have to do? Like, it's really a very odd thing.
Yeah, it's like it's another obstacle that others don't have to really go through. You know, I mean, people have to go through many different obstacles.
People don't even think about it. It's almost like, and this is what, look, you know, there are laws and policies in place that sometimes are like, look, man, that's just the way it is. Everyone has to deal with that, right? And then there's some that are in place that when you look at them, like that one, and you go like, damn, that's kind of wild. Like, I guess I could see when they first did that, but man, it was just like 5 or 6 years ago, I think, that we changed that in the military. It's just so
crazy. It's so recent.
Dude, I know. Okay, so that's an indication of something that happened. Really we don't see and we don't understand, and so we're just like, okay, that's what it is. And people talk about it, and then
we cut out
and all that discrimination, or you ask them about discrimination or unequal treatment, and they don't really have good examples of it. But that's a really, really good example right there. And so, and sometimes people overestimate for discrimination when, man, maybe they're really not. And sometimes they really are, man. You know.
Anyway. Sorry, you cut out a little bit towards the end too.
All right, how about now, man?
Good? Yeah.
All right, I gotta make sure just trying to clean up. I spilled my lime juice and my limeade on my desk. And I'm like, oh my God. So
at least it's diluted with a little water, you know?
Diluted with water, man. That's the key. Yeah. All right, let me see. Okay, wait. Sam, will there be an Asian, non-Asian, and native class? Axel says, I don't know. I was going to do Asian. I mean, we did. Yeah, I was going to do that. Maybe we will do something. I don't know what it's going to be. Yeah. Do you know how modern human, Sam, did you know modern humans in Europe was dark black with blue eyes? White is coming with filming. Did you read it? No.
What is firmline? What is that?
That I don't know. Freeman. Hey, I don't. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. Axel, I don't know what that word is. East Asian Native Americans are super similar in the face, yeah, and in bodies, not just the face, in bodies and other features. How do you square with the tallest and shortest people are in Africa? Because the tallest and shortest people are in very different regions of Africa. Tall and like warm and very humid and in very different climate conditions, very different fauna and plant fauna and animals and so on. And then in the desert, like really hot and really arid. And that's the key. That's the key for that. So, and we see it, as people in Europe, like, the tallest people in the world are on average, like groups of people are Slavic people. So,
Okay.
and so you got like
Yeah, there's a lot of
Bosnia,
centers in the
Serbia.
NBA that I think are Slavic
Yeah, Serbia. I think it might be
It's-
Serbians or Croatians are.
or power forwards.
Yeah, and then
Same. Go ahead.
then uh, like Northern Europe and so on. Yeah, yeah. Doesn't it feel like
Simulcasting. Oh.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, man. Yeah.
Oh wait, were you about to read a question or? Oh, never mind. Go ahead. You're good.
Yeah. So this Penn State scholar Keith Chain did research to find out why people are white. Have you read it? And I don't know his work, but what I do know is that this is Stephen, the woman who is kind of the world's leading scholar on skin, is all I know all of her work for sure. Anyway, does it feel like we had racism solved in the 90s, or do I have rose-colored glasses? Yeah, I think it just maybe weren't 90s. We just didn't have any big explosions in the 90s. Yeah, maybe you had rose-colored glasses. Yeah, that's probably more likely that. We started the 90s off though with O.J. Simpson, man, and all those all the craziness that came of that. That was pretty serious, man. I would say.
Wow. When did that happen? That was like 90 what? Or was that
92, I think, was the verdict. Yeah.
okay? Yeah, I was still
93. Maybe it was 93. Yeah, because I think I was on the way to my wedding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone look up the OJ verdict. When was that? I think it was 93.
I was still
All
waiting
the
to
LA
be
race riots, man, it was so much. Can you talk about why we're so hesitant to describe people's facial features like we saw in those past two classes? This by
October
Bogosian
3rd, 1995.
says 1995.
It says not 90. Yeah, the O.J. Simpson criminal trial verdict was delivered on October 3rd, 1995, not 1993, with the jury finding him not guilty of the murders of Nicole Brown.
Wow.
The verdict,
All right. Well, I was on my way somewhere out of town when that happened. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know where I was on my way to, but I thought I was getting married, but I guess not. I was already married
Maybe you're in a wedding.
at that point.
Who knows? Yeah.
All right. So why Peter Bogosian? I forget said how to say that. Says cancel culture at all. What do you say? Well, look, I think we're hesitant to talk about it because we've made lots of racist memes and stuff using facial features, right? So when you think about the caricatures we make of people of certain racial groups, the caricatures are built around features, and they're features that are often common in certain in certain regions of the world, right? So the Asian eye or the Jewish nose, although the Jewish nose is largely a myth, man. I used students read a really interesting article about that. The Jewish nose is a myth, but a nose, there are noses with humps in it. And yeah, all sorts of things. Go ahead.
I wonder because he like put cancel culture in his question, like, oh, do you think it could be calls to cancel culture? Would you think, I don't know, if this is a stretch or not, if it's just like as a society we're we're like becoming less and less intimate, like
Less
as a
intimate?
society. Yeah, like less intimate, and so we feel like we can't, like we feel like there's lines that exist more so than
Huh.
maybe if you were a culture that was more intimate, whatever that
Yeah,
like.
that's really interesting. Dude, that's a really interesting. Maybe socially speaking, well, maybe that's what follows with the caricatures, right? So if you do the caricatures and then you point out those caricatures, it's like, oh my God, you're being racist. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like, yeah, but no, we're not pointing out the caricatures. We're pointing out features, and so we're going to look at the features of different people.
And that's kind of an intimate thing. Like if you're like dating someone, it's like, oh wow, look at your ears.
Yeah,
Or it's like you're allowed to be intimate in that way once you've reached some level of relation. But
dude,
if you're not at
totally.
that
Yeah,
sustain.
totally. I'm
Huh.
gonna look something up.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can put this in here.
Maybe
Uh,
this is just my generation, but and maybe you've also already said this, but it was also kind of rude to talk about somebody's features. Like, even if, I don't know, you would think that if somebody has like a birthmark somewhere that's very noticeable, someone might be like, don't point that out or whatever. But even just regular facial features, I feel like as a young person, we were always told, like, don't pay attention to those things or don't point them out. Just move on with
yeah,
your life. And so when we
yeah,
have to confront these things in a class because we're trying to get people to look, it might be a little unsettling because they're like, well, I kind of feel rude if I point out they have a nose that's different than mine or eyes that are slightly different. Not even because it's racist, just because, or discriminatory, just because it is different than them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I think there's something
And
here.
in a way that's saying you can't connect in a certain way. Like
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
form of connection isn't allowed.
yeah, yeah. Maybe so, man. Maybe in a way that, but in a way,
Mm.
it's to protect
No.
us, right? So
Yeah.
here,
Right.
let me look at the positive side. You get all these caricatures. I'm looking up Irish faces. I'm trying to just see. Like I had this thing where it showed I have this idea. There's like 6 classic Irish faces. When I'm in Ireland, I just like 90% of the people I see, I put them in one of these boxes. Oh, you have this Irish face, you type A,
That's
or you have the Irish face type B, type C, etc. Right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Uh-huh, that's cool.
it's crazy, man. And so I
Uh-huh.
was looking for that, but I can't find it. But I
You
think
may,
that caricatures of people and we laugh at them and we discriminate against them basics, on the basis of those caricatures, right? Then naturally we're gonna advancement would be to say, hey, you can't talk
oh,
about
you cut.
people's physical features,
Say that
right?
one more time. You
Yeah,
cut out a
look,
little bit.
if your people who look like you, we make fun of their nose, okay? And that's a common thing. We make fun of your nose. Oh, the nose of these people, right? Well, advancement would be to tell people, hey, you used to be able to make fun of these people's noses, but you can't do that anymore. Like, don't do that. That's not cool. We don't do that. So,
Right.
and if you do it, you're going to get in trouble. Like, if you're a little kid and you do it, you're going to get sent to the principal's office. You're going to be in trouble, man. Don't. You
Right.
lose your job over it later in life. I mean, that's a good thing. It's like, dude, we're more civil toward each other. And like, yeah, oh God. I mean, you don't want to
Mhm.
leave. I lose my job simply because I point out your nose. No, that's where it goes. It goes extreme like that. And then it becomes a problem. But the essential idea that, as a society, we're going to decide we're not going to make fun of people based on what they look like. Come on, that's just not cool, man. Like, fucking don't
Yeah.
do that. Don't talk. So therefore, just don't talk about it. That's actually
Yeah.
like cool, man. That's
That
an
yes. So that's like you're saying the positive side. What if it's just like not making like just observation?
well, that's the problem.
Right.
Once you decide we're not going to do that, it becomes a slippery slope. What is
Mhm.
like making fun of somebody, and what's just pointing something out, and what's
Right.
pointing something out with the intention of making fun of them, and what's pointing something out not with the intention of making fun, but it happens anyway. It's like, yeah, you didn't mean for people to laugh at Elijah's nose, but they did, and you're the one
Right.
that made the comment, and so we're going to punish you. It's
Right.
like, well, how do you regulate that? a problem. But the idea that it exists is like, okay, that's a good thing. That's good. Don't do that.
Right. It's interesting.
So now I come along and I'm like, hey, go back and look at all these features here. It's
Let's zoom
hey,
in.
we've learned that
Zoom
we're not
in.
supposed to do that. You know, like, oh my God, that's like, oh. And I'm like,
Yo,
no.
Stream, zoom in on his ear.
What's that? What's that?
Like, I'm just like saying what you do in class. You're like, yo, real quick, zoom in on his ear real quick.
Yeah. No, the thing is, I'm a professional. You know what I mean? You ever
Right,
see
yeah.
those commercials like, don't try this at home unless you're with a licensed professional. You know,
That'd be hilarious.
if you're at the bar and you start having a race conversation in a mixed group of people, if you have a licensed professional with you, like Sam Richards,
Can we
then
do a skit where, like,
yeah,
somebody's talking about it at the bar and like it starts to pop up and they're
yeah.
like, wait, 1 second. Don't do this if you're not at home unless you have a professional. And then like you
Yeah.
walk into the bar and you're like, let me handle this.
Yeah. No, listen, man. It's like men. You guys are. Oh, you're hanging out. You're talking. You're going to talk about your wives being in menopause. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see where this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
man.
it's probably going to go somewhere, right? But
Yeah.
if you had somebody there who really is very thoughtful about menopause, man, and they're like a man, and like, oh no, I'm in this, man. I got it. Yeah, it's not a joke. It's like, yeah, it's pretty serious. Sometimes we joke. Like Lori and I joke about it all through perimenopause, man.
Oh, yeah.
And we
That's
fought, man, and we joked, and we like, oh God. It's
I
like,
remember going through that experience with my grandmother, and there was
oh,
some laughs and there was also some stress.
tears, tears.
Yeah.
You know, pillows being thrown across the
Oh
room,
my gosh,
shoes, you know.
the house was like negative degrees.
Oh my God. Okay, but at the same time, it's also really serious. So it's like,
Yeah,
man. So like I just like, hey, Lord,
right.
man, it's intense. It's, you know, and
It
we're not talking
is.
about this, and people don't talk about it. And
Right,
why don't men talk? Why aren't
right.
women talking? You know, the whole thing, man.
No, yeah, aside from the jokes, like it is such a huge obstacle at during that time, to
Yeah.
experience that
Yeah.
100%.
I
Like
see.
just yeah.
No, go ahead, man. Yeah.
I guess I don't mean to say like not obstacle, but just that lived experience is tough.
Yeah.
Like that's not easy to go through for sure.
Yeah. You know, Chambray 24 said, yeah, in response to AZ, say, yeah, yes, of course, especially when people could throw stuff at you in the stockades or insult you. Yeah, man, people, human beings were pretty brutal in the way that they could level out punishment toward one another. Man, they're pretty intense, you know. I remember I mean, yeah, just throughout human history, God, people were awful to one another. So there's a way in which we're much more, I don't know, like civil
For
today. I
sure.
mean, not entirely. I mean, I'm watching. So last night I watched a video of these ICE guys and down near Philly, like pulling two people out of a car. Man, there were like six members were just pulling people out of a car, and I thought, my God, that's just, you know, so I
It's like
think,
barbaric.
yeah, well, it's like the stockade thing. It just was like, so, you know, what's interesting to me is simply I look at that you know, I train myself to do it. And I'm like, huh, how do we get here to somehow that's what we want. Like, that's okay.
Right.
How do we get there?
You know, it's really interesting. Like I remember I was talking to somebody who she's like a prison guard at somewhere, and she was like telling me about this situation with this inmate and how the inmate was being disrespectful, and so they were immediately sent to like this private, like the detention or whatever, where you're just like
Yeah.
kind of in
Yeah.
solitude. And like I'm always, I guess I do lean more so on the come on, like like, oh man, that feels harsh. Like I lean on that side for sure, just as a
Yeah.
person, you know, and then like when they were giving me their perspective, you know, it's like, well, you know, this is why it's a tough conversation because a lot of times most people don't understand and you have to anticipate threat, you
Mhm.
know, essentially, which is like makes so much sense and like that does make sense. And, you know, some people will try to like take advantage if you try to be nicer and like all these
Yeah.
other things. Um, but it's just, I think the idea of like anticipating threat, I think is really like those that have the power and the authority, like for example, ICE, you know, and then I guess like anticipating, like even if it hasn't happened yet, but like anticipating it, and so trying
Uh-huh.
to
Uh-huh.
protect against it
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like hard to hold. Like I see the truth
Yeah.
in that, and it's so real,
Yeah.
and at the same time, it's hard because it's like, man, when you anticipate threat, what happens next? And or like
Mm.
what actions
Mhm.
proceed as you anticipate threat? Like, I don't know. It's like super
Yeah.
interesting, I
Well,
guess.
you know, like, and humans, we've been like needing to protect ourselves from threats forever, man, forever. It's such a huge part of being alive. You know, it's all about threats, whether it's other humans or plants that are poisonous or environmental climate conditions that are really dangerous, like a blizzard suddenly coming in, you know, just out of nowhere. And,
Right.
you know, you think about how good people were of reading the weather 1,000 years ago, right? And the weather was more stable then as well. I mean, but presumably that's what the climatologists say. But
Well,
man, just imagine that. Like you gotta know days ahead of time. Like, you know, you get yeah.
yeah, it's probably in their chart, weather readers.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, we don't you can't look at it like we have a I just looked on our
Oh, okay.
weather
I
chart.
can really quick. Do you care if I
Yeah,
just step out to say
all right, man, you go do that.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
what's
your
up,
hard work
DJ?
today.
thank you? It was all the fun, but
Ah,
you did good work.
it was great work. Great
Yeah.
work. Great job
Yeah,
today.
great.
Thanks for the
See
meeting
you.
Say what's
last
up to the
night.
stream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can't wait to share. See you.
Yeah, see you, DJ. Yeah, I'm gonna tell a story about DJ. Here's a story about DJ that she knows about
awesome.
this, but so I've taught we've estimated that I've taught like 50 to 55,000 students in my time since 1984. Okay. Yeah, about
Yeah.
50, I think it's actually up to 55 to 60
What's the
actually.
population of Penn State, right? Like of
Yeah,
the
University of
total
Toledo, Rutgers University, Penn
and
State,
here.
other
Yeah.
countries. Yeah, well, not like the classes here, but just the ones that I'm really responsible for. So not like
Right,
worldwide.
but I'm just saying like the Penn State is like the
Yeah.
population of University Park is
Yeah.
55,000 students
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or 50,000
It's a lot
students.
of people, man. It's a lot of people. Okay. So
Wow.
in that time, as TAs, meaning people that work for me in some capacity, either for pay, but mostly for credit. So you like the students you see running the cameras and at the podium and running microphones around, those are all TAs and they're working for credit. They don't get paid.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, those people that have done that or been at World in Conversation, it's probably like 3,000, maybe 4,000. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, probably at least 3,000. So I know people really well. I mean, I've been in people's weddings, you know what I mean? Like I've been like one of the groomsmen in a wedding and the groomsmen and the bride. I was a bridesmaid once actually. So I
Yeah.
wore a
You're
tux.
also the reason why they got a group got married, you
Yeah,
know?
reasons why that, but yeah. I was in a bridal party once though. I did wear a tux.
Sam is
And,
always you were always a bridesmaid and never the bride.
yeah.
That's so funny.
So anyway, here's my point. I know a lot of students, a lot of people, man. I mean, really close. Okay. and there's only one student who I ever sat down with and I said, listen, you're graduating, you're going to leave town. Don't leave. I want you to stay here in town and let's work together. Right. One student out of 55 plus thousand and thousands of people I'm really close to, and people that I've had a couple people name their kids after me, kind of shit like that, right? All that. I mean, it's big, right? That
I want to meet that kid.
Lori and I offered to adopt people. You know what I mean? Okay, one student. I said, stay in town, don't leave, stay here, let's work together. And
Wow.
that's the woman who just came in the office and gave Elijah a hug. And Dana
That's
Jane,
amazing.
man.
That's amazing. What did you see? I want to ask you this question. What did you see in DJ that brought you to that action?
I think my spirit reached out to her spirit. Okay. This is the only way I can make sense of it. Okay. Really, honest to God. My
Right.
spirit reached out to her spirit, and her spirit, they kind of, we knew each other in a past life or something.
Wow.
Maybe something like that. I don't know, but like.
So her spirit and your spirit were like, yo, what's good?
Yeah, let's go, man. I did a lot of work to bring you two back together. Right. Because she's from down in Northern Virginia, and from their mom's from the Philippines. Her birth father was from Lebanon. Like all sorts of cool stuff, man.
Wait, are those things connecting points for you too? Like
no. It means if our spirits knew each other in a past life, they were floating around somewhere, man. I don't know, in different parts of the world. But the point being, when that's like, like that's the specialness, right? Like forever and always.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, nah, you're here, man. You're here.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, I'm really curious though, like, and I totally feel like there's this spiritual, like otherworldly connection that's just like you felt it was like a gravity almost. But like as a student or as like an individual, like were there other things you were like she needs to be here, like in the material physical realm, in the physical material realm?
No, she was like she's has a really cool personality, was a really good facilitator, but was always wanting to do more than just facilitate. Like she just immediately each step, she wanted to be at the next step constantly. She was always so she's like me. He's like, wait, but I see things. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. I got it.
That's awesome. So like you had like a vision and
yeah.
And the drive and determination was also like a part, was something that you saw that's just something that you saw outside of like the other.
Here's the thing, like and when you're a teacher, students, we just have certain special relationships with students, right? It's like what it is. I mean, it's like if you're a parent, you have special relationship with your kids, or maybe the neighbor's kids, because they're friends of your kids, right? So it's like that's my kid's best friends. They live in that house 2 doors down. Yeah, you got a certain relationship with them because they're your kid's best friends. Whatever it is, right? And for a teacher, we don't have kids, and you're a teacher. Then it's like, whoa, okay, now we're at a different level, right? So it's like when you have a dog and you don't have kids, the dog's gonna.
As a teacher, have you ever felt pressure that you weren't doing enough to see them?
Oh, totally, all the time. But mostly I let the pressure bounces off of me a lot, But
what happens?
It just sort of deflects off of me a lot. But sometimes it stays on, man. And there are a lot of people whose lives, like, we really intervened. Like, like we over the years, man, we've intervened in serious ways, right? Lori and I have. So for us, it's really cool to have people who are around us that we really like, and we could be like, we'll talk about, oh, that'd be cool if that person was our kid. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be cool. And then somebody else would be like, man, I'm not, that'd be tough. That would be tough.
That's so funny.
On a lifetime struggle bus if so-and-so was our kid. Like, oh, damn. But
that's
some people who is like, that would be really cool. That person is the most awesome person ever, but wouldn't want him as a kid,
Right.
So love it, man. But so anyway,
you're not my kid.
They're not mine, man, but they're all power to his parents, man.
That's cool.
So for me though, to have that with, I have that with a lot of people, man. That feeling of like, oh man, I
Yeah.
love this person. Like I would go almost as far as their own parent would go to protect them. Yeah, whatever I would need to do, almost as far as their own parent who loves them dearly would go, because this person means that much to
Yeah,
me. And Lori has a similar feeling about some different people, and some of us
that's
sometimes we
beautiful.
share the same feeling about somebody, the same person.
And that's the one that's your kids.
Those are the
Those are the
ones,
ones
man.
that,
And
you
they
know?
and sometimes, but you really, it's just not the kid thing. It's just like an appreciation for the
Right.
human beings that we get to
Yeah.
be. Like
And
you, bro. You have a really special place. So more so with
I
Lori
appreciate
than me,
that.
because
Same here. Yeah.
yeah, because I don't know you as much as Lori does. So when I say more so with her, I mean it's just like it's she's
Right.
been working with you very closely for a much
Yeah, yeah.
longer period of time. So I don't have the same experience.
100%. This is a cute, vulnerable moment on the stream.
Mm,
But yeah, I agree with that. And you know what's so cool is from the beginning of starting the stream with you to where we are now and everything that we've gone through and going to the institution together, I've felt that growth and I'm so grateful for it. And I think it's the opportunity to be
mm,
around you and Laurie has just been
mm.
awesome. And like the question that came from like asking you that question, for me, I
Yeah.
have times where I'm just like at home and I'm
Yeah,
reflecting on
yeah, that's cool.
and I'm like
That's cool.
reflecting on some students and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. Like,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
wait,
Yeah, yeah.
dang, like this is
Dude,
where I gotta
I
do
had
this.
that. Okay, when I was your age, when I was just starting out, I had it all the time with students. I'd be thinking all night long. I'd be thinking, okay, I got to make sure I say this to that student or that to that student. Maybe I got to have a conversation with them. But what happened over the course of like a couple decades is that
Hmm.
I started to see all the ways in which my intentions didn't have the effect that I thought that they would. But
Right.
so often the effect that happened, that my impact was something that I had no idea about, wasn't even thinking about. It's like, so
It's because it's hard to stress over impact, right? Because I've
yeah,
realized
yeah,
that
yeah,
like
yeah.
if
Well, you
you
see
wonder
people
it,
when you're a teacher, you must have this with some people. Like you want the best for them, man. So you're thinking like, oh, dude, I knew you're struggling with your roommate right now, but okay, let me give you some advice, right?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. That actually happened with Pedro and I. We were talking to a student about their roommate, you
Yeah.
know, or
Yeah. That's
yeah, or yeah, and it's like it's a stress that I love though. Like I feel like it
it's a really
motivates,
nice
makes
stress.
yeah,
When you want the best for people, and yeah, it's a real. I've had some, man. I have had some of my most, I would say, glorious, like most awesome experiences have been with um just with individual students in ways that they've
yeah,
opened up and I've opened up, and I've been like, I was able to hear them and see them for who they are, and I was able to play some kind of role for them, and they
one,
spoke from what was in,
yeah,
man. It's like I
w-
carry that with me forever. And I forget what some of the specifics of the conversations were. You know what I
right.
mean? But I carry
Mhm.
that. I carry all that in my heart. Yeah.
Right. One person I think about, and I know you have many, you know, uh, but like the one of them that I think about is Jiggy.
Yeah, dude.
And how
Yeah,
much,
Jiggy, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she was when I was in class, she was the podium person, you
Oh, that's
know, when
cool.
I was
Yeah,
in class,
Jiggy.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and I know that you had a huge impact on her, like,
Dude,
and
yeah, she had an
for
impact
sure,
on me. Like I really love her
right.
a lot. Yeah, she's like a really got I have yeah, I have a lot of love for her. Yeah. It's cool.
Uh, yeah,
Really
I think
special person.
I'm gonna have to like shorten this clip and like find send it to
Yeah.
her or
Yeah,
something.
it's a really nice clip.
Oh,
It's nice to talk
I was
about.
thinking about sending her the timestamp. So, I mean, hey, Jiggy, come on to
That's
office
cool.
hours. We need you on office
Yeah.
hours. It's been too long.
Yeah. Hey, we'll have her on at some point. She's been on, but we'll have her on. Yeah, that's cool.
Man, that's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, she was
anyway,
dope.
uh, what else was I okay, so we talked about DJ. All right, man. Hey, maybe we should think about hey, by the way, someone said, hang on, I want to look at something. Someone says something about whether Mark Lyons said, has anyone ever talked to us about somehow simulcasting the class to other colleges? No, they haven't, because nobody would ever want to do that, because they have their own. I mean, I guess they could. I guess someone could buy it. I mean, they buy it. Penn State would never. Well, you could do it if I were a university. I'm like, yeah, I could just play the YouTube videos from Social 19, and that's our class. Like, yeah, whatever. I
Yo,
wouldn't
let's
even know. I wouldn't
go.
care. Penn State would probably care, though.
Yeah, they probably
Listen,
would.
let's open it up to all Big Ten schools. Michigan, we got you. Reach out to us. Maybe we can figure out some way of doing it, like a summer course almost. But we'd be doing it. We'd be doing it live.
You know, everybody wants to own their own stuff, man, and make a profit off their own things. So it's like, I'm just destined. We're just destined to be here in this world, but it's free, so you can enjoy it. Yeah. All right, man. Listen.
What, owned by Penn State?
Yeah. It really Chambray 24. Yeah. It really is it's a learning experience for students, right? Like, just like yesterday, just to be able to. Oh, man, it's a good learning experience for me. So as long
You
as
said just to be able to what? You cut out for 2
to
seconds
have
again.
these conversations. Yeah. Hey, by the way, I
Yeah.
should say tomorrow morning somebody's coming to look at my internet. Speeds are really slow, so I'm always cutting out and like a problem. Like, come on, man. Damn.
Come
We were
on.
talking about having a conversation with someone in Venezuela, Julie and I, in a couple of weeks. And I said, yeah, but man, are they going to be able to turn the video on? And then we both kind of said, well, yeah, it's surprising that in Venezuela it might have faster internet than I have in my house, which right now is pretty slow. You know what I mean?
You need to stream for Colombia in your other apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. All right, man. Listen, why don't we cut here? And tomorrow I had an idea for class, and I'm going to shift it.
Take a look at the document, and there's 2 lines 32 and 33. You can respond to those.
All right. Wait, respond to the question.
Well, so the first one was thank you to Citizen Insanity 8457. They became a tier 1 duder during the stream. And then Get Some J donated $5 and said, I'm a very right-wing 64-year-old, but I appreciate Sam's willingness to have conversations. #respect.
Respect.
Get some J. Get some J. Yeah, thanks.
Get some J.
Yeah.
From Texas, man.
J for me in the 70s growing up meant a joint. So we're going to get some J means we're going to get some joints and smoke them.
Facts.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you, man. I appreciate that. Get some. And Citizen Insanity 8457. I just want to know what 8457 came from, man. Yeah. That's
Busted me, he said.
The fun thing about people's names, usernames, like especially numbers and stuff. Like, wait, what? What's that from? Anyway, we'll be
live tomorrow. My apologies, Matt, for the commands not being updated, so that info is all wrong. We will be live tomorrow for our regular class number 8, almost a third of the way done in the semester.
Oh my God, it's really amazing. Look at that. Okay. All right, you all. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, appreciate it. Be well.